I'll show you where that goes in a minute. Up here, we're gonna have a few more valves. This is just, you don't need to drain anything here, but this is just a reminder. You know, in the winter, you turn off the hoses outside.
Yeah.
It's gonna freeze. So over here, you just turn these off. That's your rear.
Okay.
This is your front.
Oh, nice.
Just turn them off, and then you would go outside, disconnect your hose,
Wow.
leave the valve open for a few minutes, let any remaining water come out. Once no more water drips out, shut them on the outside, and you're good for the winter.
Nice.
Come spring, turn them on, go outside, and they're ready to go. This is what I would call vacation mode. I just labeled as main shutoff.
Yeah.
Let's say you guys decide to go on a trip. You want to leave the fire sprinklers charged though,
Right.
and maybe it's summer and not winter, so you want to leave pressure onto the house sprinklers outside
Yeah.
for the hoses. If you turn this guy off, that's going to turn off everything inside the house.
Oh, nice.
But it'll leave the house on, so you can add some humidity if it's winter and you want to keep it at a good temperature.
Okay.
If it's on in the it's the summer, you can still water the yard,
Yeah.
and your fire sprinklers are protected. But there's no water to your fridge, there's no water to your toilets, there's no water to your sinks. Gives you a little bit of peace of mind. I'm gonna leave that on for now so I don't forget.
Water for the fridge water. Where do you turn that on?
That just goes, so if you were to pull that fridge out,
Yeah.
there's a shut off and it's recessed in the wall a little bit,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
just like the one I showed you. It's a pull in and push in.
Oh, okay.
Same exact system.
Yeah.
We try to keep it easy. Over here real quick, we're not gonna talk about the HVAC yet. This floor cap, you can remove it. You don't have to. If it ever comes loose, just put it back on top. There's nothing right there. If you drop down another 8 inches, about arm length, there'll be another cap down there. What that is a backflow for your sewer. So Howard County had a sewage backup, it'll stop there, and it can't come up into your house at all, which is really nice.
Oh,
You can't have a public sewage end up in your home.
Oh, good.
But nothing to do in there. That's for a plumber. If they can sometimes remove that if they needed to test or watch water flow leaving the house, they would do that.
Okay.
That's your condensate drain. So this big pipe here, this is the one, remember in the attic storage room I said that goes all the way to the basement?
Yeah.
This goes all the way up there.
Wow.
This is your washer, overflow pan, goes into there. And then this other drain is what's connecting to your condensate drain for your furnace over
Oh,
here.
okay. Wow.
We'll talk about that more in a minute. There's a lot to cover, so I like to just go around the room organized. Radon vent, this goes from below your slab
Okay.
all the way to the attic. This is we label it here so
Why
remember.
couldn't you put the fan here versus up there?
Good question. A lot of people ask that, and I didn't know the answer for a while, so I looked into
Okay.
it. And the idea is if you can see where these joints go together,
Yeah.
let's say there's a little gap or something happened in the future and there's a little gap. We don't want to be pushing air up and then it dissipates somewhere in the wall of the house and we don't know it and it's filling up the inside of your house.
Okay.
If there's a little gap, but I'm pulling it from above, it's creating negative pressure, so it's just going to pull anything into there anyway. It doesn't matter if there's a leak, and that's why you do it that way. It'll pull everything out.
Okay.
This will be your sump pump line. This goes up and then out of the house on the side, branches over. This little section here is the same thing as that, and the same thing as that. This to prevent water that's in this line that doesn't make it out of the house from washing back in, but also nothing can go in that sump pump line and then come into your house. There's a door there. Sump pump here, I'm sure you guys know what those are, how they operate. It's getting in the water from either the ground below the slab around the walls or condensation up and out of the house.
Okay.
Before you go on vacation, I don't want you to leave it like this mode, but this is a good test. This secondary plug here, it's got one on both sides, that controls the float. So just like a toilet tank goes to a certain height and says to shut off,
Yeah.
we don't want this pump running all the time. It's not efficient and it wears a lot.
Yeah.
So once this thing fills with like 10 or 20 gallons of water,
Yeah.
it gets to a certain level and it says to turn it on. But by turning that off for a second, I can manually plug it in and it forces it to run because there's no sensor, it'll just run.
Oh.
What I'm doing is, that's before you go on vacation for a while. It just gives you
Yeah.
peace of mind. Hey, it actually works. Maybe you haven't looked at this in 4 months, but you're going out of town for 2 weeks and it's rainy season.
Okay.
You
just
can
to check to
physically
see
make
that
sure.
the pump
It's-
is working.
Bingo. And then
Okay.
before you leave, put it right back on the float system so
Right.
it's not running inefficiently.
Right.
That's just a good way for you to say, let me make sure this darn thing's working. If you have a big rainstorm and you're like, you know what? I haven't heard it run in a while. We do have really good grade around here, so these things don't run often. But you can at least test it real quick and say, okay, I know I'm good.
Okay.
Little few information on the fire sprinklers at your home. A few extra little covers for you if you ever need them. Over here, this is going to be the furnace. This guy's going to kill power to the system if you ever need to. You can do that. It's an emergency shut off. If you're not getting AC one day, your T-stats aren't lighting up or they're saying error, no power, Somebody may have actually turned this off thinking it's a light switch. That happens once in a while. If I
Okay.
go over here, you have your gas line coming into the side. It's a simple shut off for the gas if you ever need to for the furnace. This is your heat exchange. This is where the coolant exchange is. And this is where the blower is.
Okay.
This is your filter right here. Do you guys have a pin on you? I left mine upstairs.
I'll get it upstairs.
If you don't mind, what I'm going to do is just draw an arrow on here in a minute.
Okay.
That shows you the direction for the filter is that way. So I just put this in here today for you. This is a brand new filter,
Wow.
but my new guy put it in and he failed me. So what I'm looking at here is this arrow. There's a direction to the filter. It'll
Yeah.
let particles through it one way better than another, and so you don't want it that way. A lot of times, first time homeowners won't have necessarily that they want to turn it off just to not stick their hand around a blower and air that's moving.
Right.
But you just wouldn't want to stick your hand that way because that's where the blower is.
Right.
You see there's a track system here and one here, grooves here and here. These come in a box like this, opens like an accordion.
Wow.
Usually I try to catch the bottom first, make sure it's on there, get it lined up. I'll get the top, kind of get it on. I didn't quite get the bottom. I work it in there and it'll slide in. Remember to keep the direction arrow where you want it. These things are a little finicky sometimes.